one and all, welcome to Seen Through Glass. It is a miserable, wet, cloudy January day, but I couldn't give a crap because let me introduce my new McLaren 540C. Believe that right there is my car. That is the F-Type replacement. I don't understand how we've made it happen. I'm going to tell you how we made it happen very shortly, but for the last 24 hours or so I've just sat around staring at this thing, which I am just blown away by. I think you guys knew during the F-Type replacement series, my next car, the entire series, I kept banging on about the fact that in a dream world, in a dream life, I'd end up with a McLaren Sports Series car. And originally that started with the 570S, but with budgets being crazy and things like that, I started to turn my attention to a 540C. And when I realized basically it's the exact same car on the road, I was like, oh my God, this could be doable. But we had to try and find a car that was in budget because all the cars, the 540Cs that were on the market, were a stretch too far. However, this one was found by the Grand Master, my Yoda, Tony at Gravelwood. My hero! So, if you've been watching the My Next Car series, you will now know Tony from Gravelwood Car Sales, who is the man responsible for finding me my dream car. So throughout this process, we've been speaking a lot, obviously on camera and off camera, and there were a number of cars that were in consideration, but Tony, I think you knew that at heart of hearts, what I was really after, what I was pining for was a 540C. And the way you were able to do it was through his contacts, his knowledge, his expertise. We managed to find a car that was going to be a demonstrator for one of the McLaren dealerships, but it would be unregistered. So somehow you managed to track down this car so that the car was brand new. I collected this car with 15 miles on the clock, a brand new unregistered car. Tony called me up and said, I found the car, mate. We need to make a move. So we jumped on it, no hesitations, no questions asked, and we did it. So I could not have done it without this man. Thank you so much for all your help. If you need to find a car, if you are also looking for a 540C, Tony's the man to call. Or anything. Or anything, sorry, yeah, or anything. Not just McLaren's. He absolutely nailed it. So mate, thank you so much for all your help. I appreciate it massively. Yes, well Tony will be back on the channel at various times. He has got quite an exciting car coming himself in a few months, so I'm sure we'll be doing a My Friend Bought A, but also you will see him more and more. But I want to take this opportunity to say how I could not have done it without Tony. You're not a YouTuber, so I'm sorry that I've thrown you into this life of YouTubing, but in terms of sourcing and buying this car, you have been an absolute hero. The next thing that I want to clear out the way before we go into all the details of this car, because really all I want to do is talk about the car, is Magntiude Finance. So I mentioned it at the beginning of the series that I buy my cars, my big cars, through financing. I am not some bazillionaire. I cannot afford to put hundreds of £1,000s into depreciating assets. So for me, considering how quickly I change cars, etc., it makes sense. And Magntiude have helped me into the 4C and the F-Type. They are incredible. I have no idea how they figure out their figures, but when Tony found this car, even though he managed to work it out so that it was basically at the very top end of my budget, it was still a big stretch. But we knew this was kind of the one. So I called Tim at Magntiude and I was like, please get me in this car. Told him the top end of my limits for the budget, and somehow he made the figures work. So once again, they have smashed it. So it's been like a team effort. I could not have done this without Tony, without Tim. And now this is my car. So let me show you around. Now, I think most of you will know that this is not a factory McLaren colour. This car's already been wrapped by the boys at Dub Customs, a video on that to come soon. It is called Satin Khaki Green. The actual car underneath is McLaren black, or Onyx black. And again, you'll see some photos of that. And it looked so mean and so stealthy in black, but I wanted to do something a bit different. And to be honest, before I even found this car, I knew whatever car replaced the Jag, I wanted to do in this colour. So I was kind of set on that before I even decided what car I was going to be getting, and I'm so pleased with the way it has turned out. Now, a lot of you sent me links for an Onyx Black 540C that was up on Auto Trader. This is actually not that car. It is very similar externally. internally, but the reason that this one is the one we went for rather than the one that was on Auto Trader is a few key features. So we're going to come back to the outside in a second, because obviously I'm obsessed with that, especially these wheels, but it was all to do with the interior. It is all about these, the carbon components pack. So when I test drove the 570S and the 570 GT in Tenerife, they both had these big carbon shifter paddles, which I think make it feel like so much more of a supercar. So when I was sort of on a hunt for a 540C with Tony, I said to him, look, if I'm going to get one, I really, really want one with these carbon shifter paddles. I just think it transforms the whole feel. And as I say, you get carbon steering wheel, you get some carbon bits down here, carbon bits here. So it just made the car, I think, feel more supercar. So that was an essential option which the car on Auto Trader didn't have. Also, this car has the McLaren 8-speaker setup. It's not the full Bowers and Wilkins where you get the sort of extra tweeter here, but it's also not the simple basic one which the one on Auto Trader had as well. So a few key really interior options which made me choose this car, or at least made me know that when this car came available, it was the one that we wanted. One option that I'd have to say is missing from this car from my ideal spec is the sports exhaust. So this is running the standard stock 540C exhaust, which is great. The car sounds great, but it's a little bit quiet for me. I did really want the sports exhaust if possible, but as soon as this thing appeared, I was like, that's the one, get it. It looks amazing. And we're gonna come back to another major reason of the interior as to why this car was the perfect car for me. But I think it means that I will definitely be fitting an aftermarket exhaust system to this car at some point. I'm looking at options now. As I say, it sounds great, but I just want it to sound a little bit louder, which the factory sports exhaust would do, but if you can go aftermarket, why not? But really, the main reason that I knew this car was the one for me immediately and told Tony that we had to go buy was this interior. For me, it's basically the perfect interior. We have got the Alcantara or suede and leather mix, contrast red stitching, and then those carbon components which I mentioned earlier. And the reason I love the red stitching is it ties into the red brake calipers, which were an option as well. So I was just so happy. The minute I saw this car, I was like, Tony, it's the one. Whatever we do, we have to freaking buy it. And I realize I'm really rushing through things. It's because I'm so overexcited. I keep remembering things that I want to tell you, things that I want to say. There is so much more to come on this 540C. This is just the general sort of boom, this is my new car, the F-Type replacement. I am so overwhelmed, so happy, so ecstatic with this whole situation that I don't really know where to begin. And the videos have been like the hardest thing for me to do, because it's just, for me, this is my first supercar. This is the biggest purchase I've ever made in my entire life, and such a meaningful one. Basically, what I realized the other day, this, oh, let me get rid of that email. Hold on a sec. This, can you see it? Has been the background to my phone since the 570 test drive in Tenerife, and that was May, I think. I've been trolling myself. I didn't realize it, but I've been trolling myself that realistically, there was no other option for me. This had to be the F-Type replacement in one way or another. And I think I'd been naive to the fact that the 540C was an option and so insanely good. Only 30 horsepower less than the 570, and something you can probably get back from an ECU tune or an exhaust. But on the road, as I say, the performance is basically identical. You're not gonna notice it, I don't think, on the road. And so, whilst there were lots of other things that we were considering and looking at, and the R8 was great, don't get me wrong, the Vanquish was a real option, this was gonna be it. And the minute Tony found it, I was like, yeah, that's the one. You found a car, it works, it has to be it. So I'm so pleased, I'm so happy. I hope you guys are too. I'm sure there'll be a lot of you that are upset or disappointed that you wanted maybe something else that we test drove or had been considering. But for me, I'm the happiest I think I could ever be. So much planned with this car, so many adventures. Obviously you can see it's already wrapped, video on that to come soon, and I cannot wait for my first road trip in it. Oh, just cruising around London, it's blown me away. I've been driving about 20 miles an hour, but oh, it is so, so good. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this reveal video. Give it a thumbs up if you have, and make sure to subscribe for plenty more videos to come.